Welcome back to the Boot Room, and today we are discussing the crazy news about Jose Mourinho rejoining a club in London, not Chelsea, but obviously Tottenham Hotspur in North London. What a crazy move it is. I think we wanted to discuss on the channel today basically 5 things that Mourinho needs to address. The club's not in a bad position. It's obviously got a beautiful new stadium. It got to the Champions League final last season. It's not in the worst state in the world, but obviously on current form, it was pretty poor, and that's why Pochettino got the sack. Jose Mourinho can go in there. He's very good at turning things around quickly. He's considered in the football world as a short-term kind of manager for sure. But let's talk quickly about those 5 factors. Number 1 is the fringe players. When I say fringe players, I say players that used to be the core part of the Spurs side. Are probably still playing a lot of games for Spurs, but are considered fringe players because Poch wanted to move them out in the summer. It didn't quite work. Transfers didn't quite formulate. We're talking the likes of Serge Aurier. We're talking the likes of Christian Eriksen. 2 players in particular who the deals didn't materialise. The players don't always look like they want to be there, but because of Spurs' sort of limited squad availability, they've ended up playing a lot of games this season and underperforming, and they look on the pitch like they don't want to be there, which, you know, if you're a professional footballer, it's not good enough, is it? Eriksen in particular has the ability to be a world-class playmaker. There's no question about it. And the fact he was linked to PSG, Real Madrid over the last 2-3 years, he is a top quality player. He's got great dead ball delivery. He can play in between the lines. He can shoot from any kind of range. You see some of the goals he scored for Denmark. He sort of raises his game when he plays for his national side. Mourinho needs to come in here, I think, at least for 6 months, however long these players stay, and put his arm around them and say, look, Serge Aurier, despite what fans think about him, he's still their best right back, arguably, despite how poor he can be on his day. Mourinho needs to say, look, I need your experience. I need you to be, sensible, calm on the ball, not make any rash decisions. I know it's easier said than done, but he needs to protect these players that were on the fringes under Pochettino. Less about Aurier, it's more important about Eriksen. Mourinho likes goals from midfield. He's going to look to Eriksen to link up with Harry Kane to play a lot of games. I think Mourinho needs to put his arm around him. Mourinho's got a record of isolating players, of course he does. But I think for this first 6 months, Mourinho's in the position in his managerial career where he isn't going to get too many opportunities like Spurs again. I think he wants to make the most of it. He was probably looking for a bigger club in terms of Real Madrid to come in for him, maybe a club in Italy. It didn't quite materialise. I think that's down to the fact his stature is a little bit worsened after Man United and what happened there. Even the back end of his sort of stint at Chelsea where he got sacked. I think they were 16th when he got sacked. So Mourinho's not in the best position in the world as a manager, and the last thing he wants to do is isolate any of his fringe players. Second point is Harry Kane. As simple as that. He is the biggest asset at the club. I know the stadium costs £1 billion, and if you had to have a financial spreadsheet, number 2 on that list would be Harry Kane, who's worth at least 250 million pounds. He is a world-class striker. On his day, arguably the best in the world. He's in his prime. He's got 4, 5, 6 years in his prime. This season, he's already got 10 goals this season for Spurs in all comps. He scored in every single group game for England in Euro 2020 qualifiers, which is an incredible achievement. So but ironically, he's not in his best vein of form. So I want to see, if I was a Spurs fan in particular, I'd want to see Mourinho put his arm around Harry Kane and turn him into that linchpin kind of striker that Mourinho loves to use. I think of Diego Milito at Inter Milan, someone who could hold the ball up, turn, sort of dominate defences. Drogba at Chelsea, those kind of strikers. Harry Kane is arguably better than both of them. You want to see Mourinho put his arm around Harry Kane and say, look, I know you love Poch. Poch arguably made you the player you are. I think that's fair to say. But I'm here to take you on to the next level. I think that's what Mourinho needs to do. He needs to put his arm around Kane and say, you're not leaving in the next 3-4 years. In no way we're going to win a lot of things together. That's what I would be sort of pitching to Harry Kane if I was Mourinho. And Harry Kane's the sort of asset that Mourinho needs to keep on side. Third factor for me is all about DELE ALLI. This guy's star has definitely dimmed compared to his English compatriot in Harry Kane. We used to see Harry Kane and DELE ALLI running off each other and making each other better players almost. And DELE ALLI was almost playing as a false striker, coming in really, really deep from midfield and running in and scoring goals in the box. And we haven't really seen that. He's contributed about 3 goals this season, 2 goals and an assist, which isn't great for someone like him. And Jose Mourinho, this is the sort of situation where Mourinho could literally isolate DELE ALLI and try and sell him. He is that kind of manager, Mourinho. He's a massive asset, DELE ALLI. When he's playing, he can score so many goals throughout the course of the season, the sort of goals that not many midfielders can score. And if you look at someone like Frank Lampard, who was under Jose Mourinho, and how much his tenureship at Chelsea made Frank Lampard a close to a Ballon d'Or winning midfielder. People forget that in 2006, 2005, that sort of time. Dele Alli needs to be looking at Jose Mourinho and vice versa, and seeing how they can maybe form a partnership where Dele Alli's back to form, because at the end of the day, his form's definitely dipped. Critics have been labelling him as sort of being a bit lazier, less physical. He's obviously had a few injury problems. It's going to be a tough one for Dele Alli to convince Mourinho, because Mourinho's probably already looking at 5-10 players that he can bring into the squad in total in different positions, and Dele Alli's probably sat there thinking, is Dele Alli going to get a move bigger than Tottenham? I'm not too sure. So I'd like to see Mourinho bring Dele Alli on side, and certainly as an England fan, convert him into the sort of form that we saw under early Pochettino years. It's going to be, remains to be seen if that can happen with Dele Alli, but hopefully Jose Mourinho can bring him under his wing. The fourth point, the new signings need to be brought on side. Lo Celso, Ndombele, Ryan Sessegnon. These are 3 players that are very Pochettino kind of players. Obviously, Lo Celso, an Argentine. Ndombele, a very Pochettino kind of player. He reminds you of Dembele, who used to play for Spurs. He's sort of controlling the midfield. And Mourinho's going to love an Ndombele kind of player. He's going to absolutely love him. Someone like Ryan Sessegnon, maybe not so much yet. I think he hasn't blooded himself into the side. He's very young. We know that Mourinho likes older, peak players. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he brings Pochettino's last 3 signings into the fold and see if he can blend them in. You wouldn't surprise you if he tries to move maybe 1 or 2 of them on next summer. I mean, honestly, Mourinho's a cutthroat kind of manager. But for this season, if Mourinho wants to get top 4, push in an FA Cup, even go deep in a Champions League, like Poch did last season, he's going to need those 3 signings to be playing really well, because they supplement that squad that isn't the biggest squad in the world. He's going to need those 3 signings on side for sure. And the 5th point is wins. Spurs have not got many wins this season. They're obviously languishing around mid-table. They're doing okay in the Champions League, of course, but they got locked out of the League Cup as well. So the actual form on the football pitch is not good for Spurs. Mourinho needs to turn that around, and that's the main reason he's here. He's not here to build a 10-year legacy. He's not even here for maybe 5 years. He's here for a very short time. I think Daniel Levy's going to just try and get as many trophies out of the guy as possible, give him as much funds to do so. The next 4 games run as this. It goes West Ham away, which is a very, very winnable game. It's a nice game for Spurs, sort of away from the pressure of White Hart Lane, because Mourinho, there could be boos in the stadium if that was a home game. So it's worked out well that it's away at West Ham. West Ham are not playing very well at the moment for sure. So it should be a winnable game on paper. Then you've got Olympiacos on home, and the Spurs fans love a Champions League night, so that boosts the sort of atmosphere. And if they can beat Olympiacos, so that's 2 wins in a row. Then Bournemouth. Bournemouth at home is a very, very winnable for Spurs. I think under Pochettino, if he'd stayed, you might have even questioned if they could have got a result against Bournemouth. You're looking at Mourinho to bring in a very gutsy performance and get through Bournemouth. And then Man United, if he can win those 4 games in a row, he's suddenly sort of proven any doubters wrong, Mourinho at Spurs. And it's really, really interesting. If he can beat his old side United at Old Trafford, Spurs fans will, let's be honest, they'll absolutely turn for him. They'll love him instantly. So those 4 games are very, very important for Mourinho, and that's the 5th factor. Guys, let us know what you thought about those 5 factors that Mourinho needs to take into account for the first sort of 3 to 6 months of his reign. There's not much he can do really. He is a checkbook manager. He likes to sign players that can adapt to his system. He can't do that obviously until January. Then January is a tough market, so it's a bit of a weird time to come in. He needs to bring players on side. That's the most important thing from this list that I've sort of discovered. And those fixtures. He needs to win those fixtures, absolutely. Guys, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to The Boot Room on YouTube, and we'll see you soon.